Hello, if you are watching this, you are watching probably my second to last video right before I go on hiatus again because I am moving by the end of this week. Today, I have a new review for y'all. This is the Venom palette by MBA Cosmetics. This palette is so new. I think this actually came out this year, 2026. I think. I'm trying to remember correctly. That may not be true. It might have come out at the end of last year. I don't really recall. But what I can tell you is that when I saw this palette online, I was like, I absolutely have to have it. I saw the color story inside and it absolutely spoke to me. I loved the color palette. I think I probably only ended up getting like a 10% discount on this, but I was so like, I was just so desperate to get my hands on it for some reason. I just thought it was so freaking beautiful. I've only ever bought from MBA Cosmetics once before, and I liked it. I thought it was really, it was really good for an indie brand. I thought, from what I recall, I'm like, there's some really good shades in there, and now that I've experienced way more palettes, I feel like half the shades of that palette maybe weren't as good as I'm remembering, but this palette absolutely blows away this kind of autumn single collection that I had bought from MBA Cosmetics before. So let's start talking, let's start swatching. When I got this palette, it came with a free single. This is the MBA Cosmetics. This is in, I wish I could tell you because there's two names on it. It says OK Bloomer and Oh Snapdragon. I don't know which one this is. I wish they could have at least highlighted it. Oh, maybe it's on, hold on. Okay, so this is Oh Snapdragon. It's there on the bottom, it looks like. So at least they labeled that correctly. So this is Oh Snapdragon, but I guess they also use this for another shade called OK Bloomer. So we're gonna swatch. And I thought, it's a little crumbly. It's alright. I was hoping for a little bit more, honestly. But it's alright. It's a pretty color. I think it's a little too light pink for my taste and my skin tone. But it's alright. Although this isn't a color I would think about much. I want to retry my original MBA Cosmetics palette that I had gotten, and I might because this is still a shimmer, so I might swatch this out for another shade in that palette. I don't know, I'll think about it, but you know, here it is, Oh Snapdragon. I think it's alright. Hey, editing Heather here. I forgot there was one more product that I had received in my box for free. This is the MBA Cosmetics Aqua Liner. I also received this one. It doesn't come in a box or anything. It was just wrapped in plastic. And on the back it just says Aqua Liner. And that's basically what it is. It's just a black liquid eyeliner. Cap there. And you can see it's just a black eyeliner. You can see that I've used that corner there. And I've got to say, this is probably the best liquid, not liquid, I guess, the best kind of eyeliner that I've used like this. The one where you have to get your brush wet and then play with the product. Really the best graphic, I guess, is it graphic liner I've ever played with, because I've played with a couple of items, makeup products like this, where you have to like get your brush wet and then basically kind of do it like a watercolor kind of project kind of thing. But this is so pigmented, it's so dark, it was very long lasting. It didn't even look like, it didn't change color, which is what I find with a lot of these like aqua liner kind of products, that once you dip your brush in it with water, it changes color, and so the color that you get when it looks dry is not the same. But this one looks so phenomenal. I really liked it. I really enjoyed it. It looked like it just had any other liquid liner. It was so incredibly easy to use. It was opaque. The ones that I've tried before tend to be quite, like I said, kind of watercolory, kind of translucent. I gotta do several coats. With this one, I didn't really have to go back in, really, to make it opaque. It worked really well. I was really surprised, because usually when you get these little extra ones, it's such a toss-up, but this was a really good product. So if you're interested in these kind of aqua liners, I absolutely recommend this one from MBA Cosmetics. Venom. This is just, so there's all the ingredients in the back, and I think it's the same exact thing. Yep, all the ingredients in the back, and then in the front we can see it's the same exact imagery. There's like an evil queen or like an evil witch making a poison, making a potion. The vibes are there. We open it up. There is a mirror in here. There's no decoration around the mirror, but there is a mirror in there. And then this is the color story. Ah! This just screams May to me. There's just how bright these colors are. just absolutely scream. They scream May to me. When I think about May, I think about these teals. I think about these bright fuchsia pinks. I think about lime greens. I don't know what it is. I think about these bright blues. I've said this before in other videos. When I personally think about the colors of each month, because that's how, I don't know, that's how I categorize months in that way, in terms of like holidays and colors. And so for me, in my head, April is always associated with Easter. So when I think about April, I think about pastels. I think about pastel yellows, blues, purples, pinks, greens, just very light colors. And when I think about May, I think about Mother's Day. And I think about really bright, intense colors. I think about the incredibly bright and intense colors we experience with flowers blooming. And so when I look at a palette like this, I'm just like, wow, that is absolutely a May palette. It is just so beautiful, so incredibly bright. And the only issue I'm going to say I had with this palette, and of course I'm going to bring it up, after several hours of wear, my eyes did get a little bit itchy. It was not immediate, but it was after probably around the 4 or 5 hour mark. My eyes did feel like they were starting to get irritated and itchy. But I feel like that makes sense because looking at the depth of color that we have here, I can only assume that these are very pigmented shades. Pigmented shades can dye your skin and they can irritate your skin. So to being able to wear it for 4 to 5 hours, I don't think is too bad, especially when a lot of very intense pigments, like it will say on the box, you know, it's not intended, it's not expected to be wear on your eyes, around your eyes, and obviously we do anyway. So that is, you know, up to your discretion. I wore this on my eyes anyway. I wore it up for a good couple hours before I started feeling it kind of itching. But as long as it, to me, as long as the itching and the irritation is not immediate, as long as, you know, my skin isn't starting to, you know, like bubble up with a rash or something, I kind of take it as like, well, okay, it's a pigment. It was probably going to irritate my skin. So that's the only thing I want to mention. And it really, I honestly don't believe it has anything to do with MBA cosmetics. I don't think it has anything to do with this palette specifically or this color story necessarily. It's just like if you have any pigment from any brand and it's a very intense, deep, dark pigment, I think regardless, you're always going to have some sort of, probably, a little bit of irritation. And I'm alright with that. I'm giving it a pass. But I have to show y'all. Oh. Okay, where do we start? Where do we start? We gotta start with my faves. We're gonna swatch, this is Acrimony. It's beautiful teal. We're gonna swatch Vengeful. Oh lord. I'm missing a finger. Okay. We're gonna swatch Poison. I'd been packing, and I accidentally dropped a glass vase and then attempted to clean up, and I cut myself. So we're using these 3 fingers right now. Just look how insanely pigmented that is. That's just so crazy. It is incredibly, incredibly beautiful. That is so gorgeous. Are you kidding me? I'm gonna add a little bit more to this green just so you can see how beautifully chartreuse and bright it is. As you can see, it has completely dyed my fingers. My fingers are dyed, but look how bright this is. This is so bright and beautiful and intense, and I freaking love it. And you don't just get these kind of mid-toned shades. You get your light shade, your shimmer, and your dark shade, right? Like light shade, mid shade, dark shade, light shade, mid shade, dark shade, light shade, mid shade, dark shade, light shade. No, this is light shade, mid shade, dark shade. And I love the setup. It just makes it so easy to think about. But when I'm doing this palette, I did challenge myself a little more and I did a look with the greens and the blues, and I did a look with the teals and the pinks. Okay, I challenged myself a little bit. But what other shades should we swatch in here? We gotta swatch Spite, I feel, and then we gotta swatch Vitriol. And then this Scorn shade here in the middle is literally like ink. It is literally like ink. It looks like ink. Have you ever seen the shine of like the ink coming out of a big pen? That is what it looks like. It's very shiny. I loved these shimmers. Just the whole look to me was just so fun and pretty. Oh my goodness. Oh my god. My finger. My finger! That is insane. It literally looks like ink. I just think this palette is so incredibly beautiful. I love this palette so much. This is, to me, on par with like Inslee Rain. I've really liked Inslee Rain's palettes that I've been trying recently. I've heard some people don't like to buy Inslee Rain, which I think if you are not buying Inslee Rain, you could possibly buy from MBA Cosmetics and get a similar kind of product, because it feels as pigmented and the shimmers feel as good as a brand like that. Now, with that being said, this is still pretty expensive. I think this palette was originally, I have to look at my receipts, I'm gonna say $50, $60. It's not a cheap palette, but I feel like it's worth it. I feel like these shades worked really beautifully. I really like the shimmers. I think this palette is just so gorgeous. It's completely up my alley for intense, bright colors. I don't even know if most people even know that this palette came out. I don't know how much hype this palette really got, because I don't think I remember seeing anyone even try it. So I don't know if they're not sending PR to people and, you know, they're not getting that hype from the community. But of course I wanted to buy it and review it myself, because this color story absolutely speaks to me. This is just a beautiful Mayflower palette. Let me know down below if you've even heard of this palette, because this just came out, I want to say within the past 6 months, honestly. I feel like this palette came out. This is so gorgeous. Of course, this is staying in my collection.